Hi there, my name is Scott McDonald, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a pullover on Trampwall. Pullovers are a huge milestone in anyone's Trampwall journey. They're not physically hard to do at all, but the whole backflipping towards a solid object while deliberately launching yourself off the side of a trampoline thing can be pretty spooky at first. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to safely and progressively build your pullover into a confident, fun trick you can do on any wall of any height. As you probably guessed, the prerequisites for doing a pullover on Trampwall are doing a pullover on trampoline and being able to run the Trampwall. As usual, wear wrestling shoes if you can, go barefoot if you can't, but avoid socks if you want to increase your chances of survival. You're going to be constantly landing on your back while slightly gainering, so this can cause you to feel like you've sunburnt your lower back. If possible, I recommend wearing a back warmer, and if not, either a long shirt or just tucking your shirt in should make this a lot less painful. The first thing you're going to do is measure your pullover in the bed. Try to land with your butt pretty close to the springs so that it helps launch you all the way across the bed. The goal here is to travel as far as possible and really pay attention to how and when you extend your lower body to make this work. I like to spot in between my feet throughout the entire pullover because this lets me see where I am with both regards to my flip rotation and my surroundings for the entire trick. Watch your feet down your body as you jump to your back, and then as you're about to make contact, let the back of your head touch the trampoline. You want to be bracing for impact as if someone was about to shove you, so make sure that you're not letting your head bob around because this can cause whiplash. Make sure both your hips and your knees are bent when you're on your back, and then extend them with the rhythm of the tramp bounce. Next, stand on the frame of the trampoline, jump across the bed to your back, and try to mimic that same feeling of traveling as far as you can to pull over back off the trampoline and land where you started. It's entirely up to you whether you jump off one foot or both feet at the same time, but do what feels comfortable because eventually this is going to become the setup you use to jump off the tramp wall and initiate your pullover. The whole goal with these drills is just to get used to actively launching yourself off the trampoline, which, if you grew up as a gymnast or a trampolinist, can take some serious mental reprogramming. Alright, now it's time to add the tramp wall to the equation. There's really not a whole lot in between those last drills and just attempting the skill, so we're going to work on that in the most safe circumstances possible. At first, I honestly think it's easiest just to do straight jumps facing away from the wall, drop to your back, and just go for a pullover to the face. This is just going to be a matter of doing a few and experimenting with where you land and where you have to extend. You should never feel like you have to reach with your legs to make contact with the wall. So really experiment with how much power you're using and where to aim it. Don't just try to get your feet to the wall, but rather try to go through the face of the wall with your legs. Once you feel solidly anchored with your feet on the wall, gently pick your chest up and just return to feet on the bed. If you don't have a solid anchor and your feet are just kind of touching the wall, you're probably going to wind up keeping your chest too low and then falling into this awkward caveman dive without water. Once you've done a few pullovers to the face and you can really feel the weight in the wall, try doing a half turn and returning into just a regular wall run. Once that feels comfortable, instead of dropping to your back to initiate the pullover, try doing it from a cradle. You can get a lot of reps under your belt by doing continuous cradle pullover, half turn, cradle pullover, half turn. Or by simply doing a pullover to the face, looking at the bed, and then jumping to your back again and doing continuous pullovers. Let's talk about timing and extension a little bit. If you try to extend and initiate the flip too early, this can cause you to flip in space instead of going towards the wall, which in turn can cause you to over-rotate and miss your feet and slam the back of your head into the face. Beyond that, when you're on your back, this can put you through a very aggressive pike stretch, and you risk kneeing yourself in the face and breaking a nose or tooth, or just straining your lower back. Either way, you don't want to do it. If you try to extend too late, the trampoline's not going to help you with the flip or getting to the wall, and if you leave your arms in the way, or if you don't bend your knees and your hips, your flip is going to lack direction and power. Everything has to happen in conjunction with the rhythm and the timing of the bounce. To save yourself from all these potential problems, I recommend matting the face of the wall at first, and if possible, have someone hold it from above so that it doesn't crumple or fall on you when you make contact. Okay, now that you can pull over to the face, let's work on getting it all the way on top of the wall. We're going to build control and confidence in both the pullover itself and this jump-off setup simultaneously. First, place a box beside the trampoline. It's not too hard to pull over onto the top of this block, but the jump off can be a little bit spooky at first. I recommend placing a mat on the bed while you decide whether you want to jump off 1 foot or both feet, and also while you get used to where you need to land. I don't recommend trying to pull over off the mat because this can take your power away and lead to really weird crashes like this one. Whichever jumping technique you decide to go with, try to watch beyond your feet and take in as many visual reference points as possible, but then at the last second, let the back of your head touch the trampoline. Once you feel comfortable jumping off to your back, take the mat away and try to pull over back onto the block. At this height, the jump off setup really isn't going to add much more power than you're already used to. When jumping off and doing a pullover onto 1 block feels pretty comfortable, try graduating to 2 blocks, and then eventually to a short wall. As your takeoff and landing surface gets higher, this setup is going to give you increasing amounts of power, so once again this is going to become a matter of learning to control your aim and your timing. At first, you might find yourself doing pullovers where your feet both make it onto the top, but your chest stays over the trampoline. To avoid any awkward potential injuries from this, just stagger your feet a little bit. With this stance, 1 foot can go on top, but the other remains as a safe anchor point on the face, which means that if you don't make it all the way up, you can just half turn and drop back in. If you're landing like this, it might mean that you're kicking too early or towards the corner of the wall. Remember that you need to go over the top instead of towards the top. You'll notice as the walls get taller that you have to be increasingly patient and confident in waiting and kicking up instead of straight back. During that process, you might find yourself grazing the edge a little bit, so in order to keep your shins safe, I recommend folding a panel mat over the corner. Make sure you also supplement your pullover training with just doing it to the top from a regular cradle or even just straight jumps. These weaker takeoffs will force you to improve your technique, and while it's much physically easier to do from the jump off, it can be much mentally tougher. As you start jumping off higher walls, the amount of power you get can be difficult to control at first, and if you misjudge the timing, you might end up slamming your back or your head into the wall. I highly recommend matting the face for this reason, as it can be the difference between a productive training session or having to spend a week recovering from injury. Almost everyone, when they're learning to jump off the top, will start by doing this negative jump where you basically just directionally fall. This is perfectly natural, it's spooky, but the more power you put into the jump, the more power you're going to get from the trampoline and the easier your pullover is going to be. So try to jump with confidence. The most common mistakes people make when learning to pullover tend to involve misjudging the timing or the trajectory. Understanding where and how to aim your lower body makes all the difference with this trick. Make sure you don't put your arms overhead or behind your back while you do the pullover. Either of these will stop your rotation and make it much more difficult to get to the wall. You can shrug, but keep your arms in front of you and let the lower body do all the work. If you feel like you're always landing with your chest down and you just can't pick it up, you're probably staring at the ground as you come over the top, and instead of just picking your chest up and looking with your eyes, you're looking with your entire body. Lastly, a pretty common psychological mistake is just to rein in your own power. If you can do a pullover to the face of a 12-foot wall, that same pullover would probably land on top of a 6-foot wall. You might be surprised at how much power you actually have when you don't have to worry about going over the top. If you're having trouble going to the top of a wall though, you can use this to your advantage and just drill going to the face of an even taller wall to get used to that timing and height. Alright, now that you got the hang of pullover on the wall, you can try to get more comfort and control with it by using it in combos. As we covered earlier, you can do a half turn to keep running, you can do continuous pullovers, or you can even duck forwards to your back. There are also a lot of pullover variations, like pullover to handstand, pullover to sitting, pullover full, double pullover, and so on and so forth. With all these variations, and just with your regular pullover, try to be patient because it's very unnatural and strange to throw yourself headfirst at a wall. You will get over it, but the only way to get over it is to do a lot. So yeah, that's my pullover tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. As usual, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or requests for future videos, and happy training. Bye.